collision. All right. So that's a simple function to implement this collision avoidance in parametrics. Do you have any question? Any question? So, do you think you have already understood how parametrics works? So the third topic is about VSIM. So parametrics and MSUM are very similar to each other. They will call your function. In VSIM, it's done in another way. You are going to call the VSIM functions. You are going to control the whole VSIM. So they provide this COM interface, which is a component model. That was an early model, but that will allow you to use different languages to control the VSIM model. What you have to do, if you are using Visual Studio.NET, you create a new project from scratch, and you go to Menu, Project, References, and you select the content. Then you add this library from a list. You can do this, it's very easy to follow. Then you click OK. So these are descriptive languages, but I think it will be very easy for you to follow. Then you want to open this PDF file for help. So let me show you the PDF file. This is the PDF file, the help of, this is the help of VSIM's COM interface manual. So you can see from the bookmarks, the things are organized. So here, for example, for each object, they have examples using Visual Basic, and they have the description of the functions. So you have to spend some time working on these manuals. Now I will give you a very simple example. So by using the COM model, you don't have to include anything. You just have to reference the library, as I mentioned in the last slide. So you can use another language. In this example, I'm not using C++ anymore. I'm using C#. But they are very similar. So I don't think you will have a problem understanding it. So if you create a blank C# project or console project, C# console project, it's going to provide you with a very simple program file, code file. And in the program file, in this code file, this one is added using system. System is a namespace which contains a lot of classes in C#. So another, maybe not C#, it's .NET framework. So it's a library containing a lot of things you can use. So you manually add this using VSIM COM server lib. Then you can use all the things that are provided by VSIM COM interface. Then you will see this namespace, then a name of a namespace. So this is defined by yourself. It's a name because in C#, all the classes are organized into different namespaces. So you are not going to store all the types within the same namespace because there are too many types. So they are organized by namespaces. So if class is a file, then the namespace is a folder. All right. In order to use the classes in different namespaces, you have to use the using statement. Now, in a namespace called the VSIM controller, we have a class called program. So they are already created by the system. And in this class program, we have a function, a main function, which is static, which means it has only one instance. And it's void. It has no return. It has some inputs. So it's a console program. And these things are already there when you create a console project. Now we have to use the VSIM COM interface. We want to add some codes to it. So we declare an object with the type VSIM. So VSIM is the type of the whole VSIM program. So we instantiate a new vsim class. The vsim class can be used to create a new vsim. So after this sentence, after executing this sentence, you are going to have an object called a vis, which we use to send vsim. So this is yours after this function. You get the vsim. You get a vsim instance. Then you use the method in vsim, for example, vis.loadNet. So this is a member function of vsim. Then you can use the loadNet function, which you can check in menu, to load an IMP file. For example, this is this IMP. This is a vsim network. This is a parameter, I forgot what it means. So after this sentence, the vsim you just created is going to load this network. And after that, you create a simulation object. Simulation means a simulation within the vsim. So, so your vsim can have a simulation process, and you define this by a simulation class. So you are going to get a new simulation. You already load the network, but you can get a new simulation. Now, each simulation has a period from, for example, from 0 second to 3,600 seconds. This is the attribute of the simulation. So we create a loop from second 0 to the last second of the simulation. And for each second, we are going to run a single step. So this simulation allows you to run single step. So you control. You have a vsim. In a vsim, you have a simulation, and you run it for a single step. Then, in the vsim object, we can get its net object, which means in the network. And in the network object, we can get all the vehicles as a collection. So vsim.net.vehicles is a collection of vehicles. Then we use the C# for each statement. So for each vehicle in that collection, which means for all the vehicles in the network, we can do two things. For example, we define an object. Object is a generic type that can store everything. So we don't know what this attribute return type will be. If we don't know what it will be, we assume it's object. So object, everything can be stored as object in C#. Now we call this function, call this vehicle. This vehicle is a type in vsim. Then we call this member function, get attribute. The name of the attribute is speed. So we get the speed of the vehicle, and we store it as an object called attribute speed. Then we convert this attribute, this object, into a double type called dspeed. So that's the way we get the speed of each vehicle. Now, if we want to change the speed, we define a new double, which is equal to 100. Then we call this vehicle set attribute. Set this speed attribute as new speed. But they only accept object as their input. So we have to convert this double type, double into an object. By the way, in C# this is called unboxing. This is called boxing. So you convert something into an object. This is called a boxing. When you convert something from the object, this is called unboxing. All right. So you do boxing and unboxing here. So that's an example. So could you tell me what this example is doing?
It's a new speed.
Yes. So for each vehicle, I will force the speed to be 100. And this is done for every single step. So if we run this plugin, we are going to see all the vehicles are maintaining a 100 miles per hour or kilometer per hour speed. And there will be collision because the vehicle's speed are already overwritten. So their original car falling models are not in effect. So all the vehicles are traveling at 100. All right?
How do you know, that there are nets and vehicles are so documented in the manual or in the
Yes.
manual?
These are all documented. for example, if we take a look at this PDF, in the beginning, there is an incomplete figure. This is the model overview. So the basic object is vSim, then it has a net. So for net, it has link nodes. But once you get instance of vSim, you get control of all of them. See this? And this is not complete. And you can use all kinds of languages. So here's example.
So if this is not complete, how do you know the rest? What do you mean by incomplete?
I just search. For example, if I think there must be a function existing, I will search. And from the bookmarks, from these bookmarks, we can browse bookmark here and search what we want.
Okay.
So
Now,
here, question. Can you change the speed? Can you select a vehicle and change the speed concurrently or in real time? I mean, you give the different value continuously and can easily change vehicle speed accordingly.
I don't know what you mean by.
I mean, you write this 100 miles per hour
Yes.
before you run the simulation. Or
No,
before you
after
run-
the simulation. It's for run single step. So here is a loop. So you run this vehicle, run the simulation for one step. Then you modify all the new speed, all the speed. Then you run it another step, and then you still override all the speed. So this is done for every single speed, every single step. Is that what you ask?
No, suppose I have a pedal and I
Okay.
like subject to press it.
Okay.
Can this value to be transferred to the vehicle you selected in recent and change its speed?
Yes, yes. So you have to change something here. You have to, in this loop, you are going to get the input from your pedal, and you use the double, and you convert this, you use the double to indicate your new speed.
So
You put it,
at each step, that 100 will be
your number.
defined by this
Yes.
pedal input, right?
Yes, yes. Your input. And you can have the program waiting here to get new pedal input. So you will be running at 1-to-1 ratio. So any other question? So you see they are different. The COM interface and the previous interfaces are different. There are two different other API. You can find it under the vSim folder /API. The first one is called the C2X interface. You can use Python or C++ to implement it. It's for for simulating the communications, including sending and receiving messages among vehicles. Another one is called the driver model, which allows you to completely override the driver's behavior, as I mentioned. Okay, the third one is that. And now is the end of all the lectures. I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving.